Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Stories of Aenduar. When I last left the party, they had just escaped the cave, and they had found some magical items in the wizard's tower. The first being a magical door that could be locked in any position using the key of locks. It could also be used as a shield. The second item being a belt that seemed to turn them shorter and hairier. Um, yeah. Now they decided to walk back towards the town they came from, Little Wall, since the entire place was now evacuated. The wizard had teleported away, and the villagers had gone back towards Little Wall themselves. On the way, they see a group of knights camped out in a forest opening, and they decide to send in Leon to scout and figure out what's up. Uh, Actually, I'm not quite sure if they actually decided to send him in, or if it was just being like him being himself, going in alone while the party was discussing whether or not to actually approach the knights. Anyways, he walks up to the guards, and he gets to speak with the knight in charge called Godfrey Green, and he finds out that two brothers, Godfrey Green and Norman Green, have been working on a plan to prepare the kingdom of Arthwall against a darkness that many believes is coming. Um, they do not only want to replace the king with another more militaristic leader, they also want to send an army south to actually investigate the darkness. The darkness has been brewing for some time in the south, and there are many rumors, and some cities have been completely abandoned over this darkness. Some people take it more lightly. The king refuses to really acknowledge it. So Leon brings forth the rest of the party. He goes back and say, "Hey guys, it's okay. They're knights. They're good guys." And actually, the two brothers, or in this case, it's just Godfrey being there with his knights. They're on a mission to recruit people for the cause, and Godfrey is sending off knights in practically all directions, trying to gain reinforcements. While they're here, he is in desperate need of some able-bodied people, so he employs the party, offering them 600 gold and a new armor for Elkas if they agree to help him, to help Godfrey find and escort an old war veteran called Edgar Jaeger back to the nearby city of Nogorith, where Godfrey's brother will be waiting for them. Godfrey's brother Norman is already gathering support in Nogorith, but that's another part of the story. So shortly after Elkas has gotten a replacement for his armor, you remember he body slammed the scorpions, and they had a lot of acid and everything. His armor was beginning to smell really bad, and it was starting to dissolve actually. So they figured it's probably a good idea. They all get on horseback, and they ride towards the tower called the Anthuro Tower. And this is where a lot of the old war veterans go to serve an ancient war deity. Usually when they're done, like when they're not in their prime anymore, this is where they go. And it's only a few war veterans here at the tower. But amongst them is this old general called Edgar Jaeger, and he is the one. He has many. He has a lot of influence, and a lot of people feel like he's one you can depend on. He has a lot of experience. They ride towards the tower, and as soon as they get in vision of the tower, they notice something strange. They did a really good perception check here, and they find out that the tower seems abandoned. There's absolutely no sign of life, really. Whereas usually there would be some. Actually, this tower is like, it's an ancient burial ritual for war heroes. So normally there would be uh, some torches and stuff always lit in the top, but it is extinguished right now, which is weird. So they tie up the horses to some nearby trees, and they decide to move closer on foot. And as they approach, Godfrey decides to send. He's brought 3 knights with him, and he decides to send them to investigate the nearby tents. This is where the people who live at the Aenduar Tower, they would store things, and sometimes they would sleep in these tents. Sometimes they would sleep in the tower. Kind of depends on your rank and everything. I won't go into it. Anyways, he decides to send his 3 knights that he brought towards the tent to investigate that, while he will take the party, the adventurers, and he will go check out the tower. And he and Leon kind of decides to take charge together, and they open the door into the tower, and they are combat ready. And as they open the door, they surprise 2 orcs. The 2 orcs are just sitting there in the entry room eating some meat, and the party is rather quick at dealing with these orcs, but while they're fighting them, not only does the party take some damage on some unfortunate characters, like Elroy takes a hit, and he's a sorcerer, if you don't remember. He's not very tanky, and also Elkas takes some hits, and he's spending some of his healing magic here. So while they're fighting these orcs, they can hear battle down by the tents, and they're like, okay, the 3 knights probably are they are probably also fighting. And almost as soon as they're done with the orcs, an arrow comes flying in through the door and hits Marcus Aenduar, the wizard, in the back, and he immediately falls asleep. And the party determines that, okay, these arrows, they must be poisoned. Nonetheless, Leon decides to charge out the door, and Godfrey decides that, okay, if Leon goes, then absolutely he'll go with him. He's absolutely not a coward. He's not great in combat, though. They run out, and as soon as Leon is out the tower, he realizes that, okay, there's actually a pretty large pack of goblins right here. The situation actually ends up looking manageable at first. Leon decides to dodge a lot of arrows, and Godfrey is hit by a few, but he seems to resist the poison for now. Meanwhile, Aenduar, the ranger, is like, he just loosens his string over and over, and he just keeps picking off goblins left and right. The combat does, however, take a dramatic turn when Leon is hit and falls prey to the poison's paralyzing effect. This means that now only Godfrey is outside the tower alone, and Elroy is too damaged to really participate in the fight. He can't really put himself in harm's way. He doesn't have enough HP left. Elkas is almost out of spells, and he has also taken a hit in the previous fight. However, he still decides to run out the tower, grab Leon, and drag him inside the tower again to get him to safety. Glim is still just firing and killing goblins. Marcus is sleeping, so there is no one left who can really go out and help Godfrey, even as they hear him fall to the ground and see goblins running over there with their knives drawn. They're pretty sure he's going to get executed, but none of them can do anything about it. And just as they thought, the goblins just murder him, pretty much. Eventually, Glim kills enough goblins, and Elroy is able to rejoin the fight. Now that there are not so many goblins, he feels confident. And together they quickly turn the battle, and the goblins have to run. And they chase down the goblins and kill them. I'm gonna try to keep this as a shorter episode. This one will only be 10 minutes. Hopefully that'll be fine. See you in the next episode.